Hello, everyone, and welcome to LFC Transfer Room. Today, we're going to talk about, is the break good for Liverpool? Carvalho and Elliott have been nominated for Golden Boy. And why Dan is wearing the same shirt 2 days in a row, which is just disappointing.
Oh, my God, you boys.
How are you doing, mate?
Let's move on into transfer targets and analysis, please.
You just done your first solo video as well on Moises Caicedo. How did you find that solo to camera piece?
I don't know. I mean, the viewers need to tell us how it went. It's the first time that we did a non-edited, semi-edited on live YouTube video, but I enjoyed it. Hopefully, everybody likes it. We have a little bit more background on the player himself. Especially because I think that we will be back for him in January. So, I mean, obviously, we'll be discussing this throughout the video or maybe in a different video. But yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be an interesting one because I don't know whether he's going to end up at Chelsea or somewhere else or anything like that. I think the few takers are going to be there for Caicedo. So it's a really interesting watch, actually, if you can get round to watching it. And I think it's just gone live on the channel, hasn't it, Dan?
Yeah, as 45 minutes ago, I think it's already been up. It's doing pretty good views-wise. So, I mean, let's see what people say. If you're watching right now, make sure to go watch it and comment, boys, please.
After this. Go watch it after this. Stop trying to get rid of viewers.
Yeah, just wait.
And Damon, are you back teaching? Or are you still on holiday?
Yeah, back into it straight away. No rest now for the wicked. But yeah, I'm looking forward to have a little discussion tonight. Actually, talk about the same midfield like Dan's shirt. You know, the same things.
You proper stitched him up, haven't we?
We're not going to get into that right now. People don't need to know what happened, okay?
All right, guys. Well, we're going to start with the positive news, which is 2 Liverpool players have been nominated for Golden Boy awards. Now, granted, yes, you could say Solanke's won Golden Boy, but he had a great World Cup that got him that. Like a great under-18s World Cup, not senior. But both Carvalho and Elliott are on the Golden Boy list. Damon, it's positive news that we've got young, up-and-coming talent that people would think is the best in the world, isn't it?
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. These 2 are very special players. But the problem is at the moment is I don't think we're playing them right. I think there needs to be more behind the striker. Like I said, I've been said it before about the number 10 role is one I really want us to really try, especially with Elliott and Carvalho. I think those 2 can alternate the number 10 role as well. I think it'll get the best out of the wingers. It'll get the best out of whoever plays up front, whether it's Jota, Firmino, or Nunes. Even Firmino can play number 10 role. But I think it'll also get the best out of the defence because when you have Elliott on the right hand side, he's not going to cover for Trent. You know what I'm saying? That's why we've got such big holes at the back, and it shouldn't be relying on Elliott to do that because he's not that player. He's not that player. Like I said, both him and Carvalho are very special talents, and to get the best out of them, we need to let them be in their positions. We do.
And Dan, Liverpool have previewed this formation. The 4-2-3-1 has been previewed twice now, with Bobby Firmino playing the 10 position behind Darwin Núñez. And Firmino's looked quite good in that position, to be brutally honest, but is naturally what Harvey Elliott and Carvalho do. It's what they did for it's what Carvalho did for Fulham. Yes, for Blackburn, Elliott played on the right wing, but they're not defensive players, aren't they? They create something special.
That's a pretty obvious point. Obviously, from the moment they came to Liverpool, we expected us to change for them a little bit, right? So we expected to see a little bit more of the 4-2-3-1 formation. We've barely been able to see that. Carvalho has been very successful as that number 10 position, and we've seen what Harvey Elliott.
Oh, you've muted yourself, Dan. Everyone's muted. That's very odd. Everyone's mic is muted except mine.
Mine muted because I muted myself. But
Dan, you're muted.
Oh, I think my mic mute, right?
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but everyone got muted.
My bad. It's because of the headphones. But yeah, let me try to finish it off. We've spoken about this already. the lineups that Jurgen Klopp doesn't want to change to maybe settle in Fabio Carvalho, Roberto Firmino original role, because we all seen that he can play as a number 10. But regardless of this, we've seen how good Harvey Elliott and Fabio Carvalho are. I think they're both deserving to be nominated for the Golden Boy Award. And if anything, I'm just surprised. Well, not surprised, because I think we are now under the impression that Curtis Jones is not up to the same standard as them. But I'm surprised that he's at least not even considered for that list anymore after having so many good seasons previously with Liverpool. But I guess we now realize his ceiling or his level.
Yeah, and this is the thing. His ceiling may very well be as a squad player, and that's not to say that he's not a good player. But I mean, I'm just looking through some of the list, and give me where do you think these guys are going to go? Whether you think the Liverpool players are going to be higher or lower. So a bit like the Price is Right. Okay, so the first name on the list is Karim Adeyemi on the nominated list. Do you think Liverpool players could finish above him?
Yeah. He's very talented, but he hasn't had the level to showcase his talents as he yet. Really, I know he's got the Bundesliga now, but he's only just got to that level. I think the Premier League, obviously, it's a bigger audience, wider audience, and you're going to shine more on a bigger audience and a bigger stage. Okay,
Dan, what about Brian Brobley from Ajax? He's a striker. He's been pulling up quite a few trees. Do you think the boys could do something against him?
Is this the former RB Leipzig player, or has he always been on Ajax?
I think he was on loan at RB Leipzig, but he was from Ajax's youth academy.
So I mean, it's always been known that he's a very promising star. I'm sorry, guys, my phone now got connected to the stream, but it's been shown that he's always been a very promising star. After seeing what he's been able to do, I don't think I've seen much of him actually, but I'm very surprised, because most of the players that Ajax does bring, they do have an extensive scouting around them. We've seen what they've done with him, and also what was the guy that scored the goal against Liverpool? Is it Kone?
Kudos.
Oh, Kudos.
I think
he looked good, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's also
not on the list, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think. Well, I mean, I'm not sure. I haven't even checked on the list, but I mean, it's surprising that the Ajax never fails to have a player in that list, whether that's Matthias de Ligt, whether that's one of their fullbacks that used to play there, like Masraoui or Dest many years back. I mean, in that case, anybody that comes from Ajax, most of the time they're successful. So I'm always backing them. In this case, with him as well.
Every week, it's 2 weeks in a row. It's Ajax.
Ajax.
But I think it's a cleaning product, isn't it, in America, which is called Ajax.
So is it Ajax or Ajax?
Ajax.
What did I say?
Ajax. Ajax.
Ajax.
You go with it.
I go with Ajax.
Okay. There's a couple of players that may very well take this down, actually. I'm just gonna focus on, I'm just gonna give you the list of the players that I think are the top of the list that have a chance of winning it. There's Camavinga, there's Jude Bellingham, there's Ansu Fati, there's Ryan Gravenberch, and the other one that I really like, and I can't say his name, Jamal Musiala from Bayern. I mean, Damon, who do you think is going to take down the Golden Boy Award? Do you think the Liverpool lads can do it, or do you think those 4 or 5 are actually quite high up on the list?
I think Elliott can push into top 5, definitely. I don't think he'll win it though. I think it's down to Camavinga and Bellingham. And I think Camavinga will just nick it, just because I think he's impacted it just a little bit more in terms of winning, and in terms of winning the Champions League and the league last season. Bellingham obviously is at Dortmund. It's a big stage, but it needs to be a big club. I don't know who we could join to be a big club, but yeah.
Well, I think also the fact, Dan, that Real Madrid won the Champions League. Camavinga came off the bench. He made an impact. He's made an impact in the biggest games. So he probably puts Camavinga for me as front runner to win Golden Boy, even though there's so much noise about Jude. Camavinga's won something tangible and had a tangible impact, hasn't he?
He has. I mean, Camavinga definitely has. I don't think he has had such an impact to the point of winning the Golden Boy. I mean, James, you have the list pulled up. Is there any of the Barcelona boys in there? You know, Pedri, Gavi, Nico.
Balde, Ansu Fati.
No Gavi, no Pedri.
See, Pedri deserves a shout.
Pedri's in there, actually. I missed him because
he's definitely top
it's
five.
Pedro Gonzalez Lopez Pedri because he's got a massively long name. Gavi's not in there, I don't think. But Pedri's definitely on the list.
And Vinicius Jr., I don't think he's considered a youngster anymore, is he?
No, he's not on the list.
Yeah, I mean, my best bet will be one of the Barcelona boys. It has to be either Pedri or Gavi, regardless of the season that they had in the past.
Won? Done. What have they won to claim it? What have they won?
So that's what I'm trying to say. So regardless of what the overall season from Barcelona ended up being like, Gavi managed to establish himself in the Spanish and both Barcelona sides. He's 19 years old, 18 years old, and for him to already be part of that, both teams actually, as a regular first team player, I mean, I think it's a huge thing to take into account. Same with Pedri. He was just recently given the number 10 shirt for Spain, which is a huge deal for someone of that age. So I think just a matter of impact, I think is what's given them more of the upper hand, maybe even Jude Bellingham. Although I don't think Jude Bellingham is starting for England, is he?
He may very well do. He did the last game and played incredibly well. But you can vote now, so I don't think the World Cup's going to have an impact in the outcome of this. Yeah,
well, I mean, with Jude Bellingham's case, we do also have to take into consideration the league that he's playing under. I am an avid watcher of the German league, but again, if you're a youngster and you go to Dortmund, most of the time you either A, going to do pretty well, or B, are going to start in that team. We've seen it with Jadon Sancho, with Giovanni Reina. So I don't think, despite Jude Bellingham being such an amazing talent, so good, when you put them in paper, I do think that La Liga is a stronger league, as well as maybe the Spanish team is also very strong in order to break into. So that's why I think we'll give it the upper hand to either Pedri, Gavi, ahead of Jude Bellingham. Although, you know, we all are huge fans of Jude Bellingham, of course.
So who do you think is going to take it down, Damon? Now Pedri's on the list, which I found because I've just been first looking at it. I have found Gavi on it as well. It's just these two names are difficult to find. They're two very good names for it. I mean, it's quite a big list. The year when ex-Liverpool striker won it after the World Cup, completely forgot his name.
Owen won, did
which one?
No, it's plays for Bournemouth.
Solanke.
I don't know what you said.
Danjuma? You used to play for Bournemouth?
No, what's his name? Golden Boy that took it down. Come on, Helios, save me from this pain.
I love it because Haler is always the facts guy. So Haler, save James. Come on.
I think Pedri's got a good chance there.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned it. What about Link? Is Lingard on there?
No, Martinelli's on there.
Sterling.
Ooh, Martinelli. Again, it comes down to his team as well. I said Solanke. Did you hear me? I said
Solanke.
Solanke.
Yeah, so that was probably when I couldn't hear
you. Yeah, I think Pedri could push him if that is on there. See, like Dan said, he's really established a place in the team, and the Spain team and the Barcelona team at that age is ridiculous, especially with the Spanish talent that there is. Unbelievable.
Don't worry, Helio. I was trying to remember the name of Dominic Solanke, and I just couldn't. Even though I mentioned it earlier on, completely blanked on it. Now, moving away from Golden Boy, and let's the Premier League fixture has been cancelled, even though the most logical thing would have been to switch it from London to Liverpool, and we could have played it, and really it would have been quite an easy thing to do because policing wouldn't have had to change that much. They went for the option of cancelling the game. So Liverpool now have an extended break. It's nothing but good news, this, is it, Damon?
Well, yeah. It's a bit hard, isn't it? You want to carry momentum through, and when you win a game like that, especially a last minute winner, it gives you that big boost that you need and a bit of momentum that we needed. But in the end, we need to get everyone back fully fit and fully ready for this season, because with the World Cup coming up in a couple of months, it's going to be a absolute gruel sesh. We need to really push on now. Over October, November is going to be big games. We've got 13 games in October or something ridiculous.
Yeah, crazy.
We need everyone fit, and that break we've got now has come at the right time. Regarding it being postponed and being switched around, it would have been an interesting match to have on this weekend. Bear in mind that Liverpool are anti, the monarchy, and Chelsea couldn't be more close. Literally around the corner.
And I mean, Dan, we now don't play again until the 1st of October. So for some players, like Thiago didn't get taken to the Spanish squad, so he's got a good chance to sort of bulletproof himself up. Matip can get match fit again. As Damon says, yeah, you want to keep a bit of momentum, and a last-minute win is great, but at the same time, our momentum wasn't great. So an opportunity for Klopp to fix the errors that were in the new system is nothing but good, really, is it?
Absolutely. It's a complete positive thing, but it is not going to be good news for us if Klopp comes back in his next match and he's still uses the same tactics, everything the same. And Klopp needs to revolutionize those tactics. He needs to change something up. We can't stay playing with the same 4-3-3 pressure that we do. Maybe the offensive fullbacks thing is a modern game thing. I guess you cannot change it, but you need to do something about Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's going way too above the halfway line. I know people are saying, "Oh, he can defend," but again, it's Klopp the one that is making him move that much forward. I'm pretty sure, and if Trent was a defensive fullback, by now he would be one of the best defensive fullbacks in the world. He wouldn't have any issues with defense. Again, you're doing the whole, you need to play Henderson so he can cover for Trent, or Salah is still playing too wide or too center. Just you need to change something up, right? So regardless of how many players we have on the list, unless Klopp changes something up, we're gonna keep failing with the same mistakes over and over. So I think the break comes at a best time for Klopp. Klopp needs to assess things better, try new things up with the players that he has available, obviously, because some other players are moving to certain international sites. But try a few things out, see if you can like something like a 4-4-2, like a 4-2-3-1, see if it works, and let's get things started again. So yeah.
Dan makes a great point, Damon, and I've been playing this through my head. Obviously, we've seen the stat Harvey Elliott gets dribbled past a little bit more. We've seen people saying Trent can't defend, but his tackle percentage is better than Reece James and better than Kyle Walker, so he can defend. It's just he's not in the position to defend. And then he gets set up one-on-one with people running behind him.
Sometimes 2-on-1. That's the problem.
Yeah, it's an attack tactic. It's a Trent attack, as I keep referring to it, because people are trying to expose that space that gets left by Trent going forward. So get past Harvey Elliott and then play it in behind. Now, neither of this is Harvey Elliott's fault. He's not at fault for not being that type of defensive player. It's not Trent's fault for being pretty much central striker in some instances. But the reason people are calling for Henderson is because obviously he plugs the gaps. Now, you can plug the gaps with the system change. It doesn't have to be players, does it, Damon?
No. Well, that's where the 4-2-3-1 comes in. You have Thiago and Fab sitting there. Whoever's on the right-hand side can cover the right-back position when they go forward. Whoever's on the left-hand side can cover the left-back. It's as simple as that. And then Harvey Elliott will have only one thing on mind, that's going forward and just linking up play between the wingers and the striker. He wouldn't have to think about coming back. He can come back, when he wants and when he can get back. But when you're thinking about it, it's different. You sort of knowing that Harvey Elliott in his head will be thinking, my mind is going forward. But then in the back of his head, he'll be like, in this system, I need to come back. But we shouldn't have having to do that because that's not his game. And we're being exposed for it because of that now. We're being exposed. That's why Trent is finding himself all alone against two players because Salah's too far wide now in this new system. RB Elliott's practically up behind whoever's up front, and he's not getting back quick enough. And Trent, yeah, he has defensive errors in him, and his awareness is pathetic, to be honest, at the moment. The fact that he doesn't even turn his head, I think I put it in the play ratings the other night, he needs like a chiropractor to sort his neck out or something, because he doesn't look back. He never looks back. I think the problem is Klopp with his system, and he needs to look at that now before it's too late. And like you said, this time off is the perfect time to do it.
Yeah. Now, Dan Damon mentions the 4-2-3-1, and two defensive midfielders. Fabinho would make sense to be on the right-hand side. He's also played right back. He's also played centre back. You could almost turn it into a 3 at the back if they wanted to filter around. So it kind of makes sense because obviously Thiago's a playmaker, and then you've got a 10 who can feed balls into Núñez to try and score goals. Is it just too obvious a solution, this system? Are we just simplifying what is, in essence, a very complex job that Klopp's got?
Pretty easy solution. And the only reason that I say it is because when you get a few fans saying, oh, Klopp needs to change the system, the club needs to do this and that, and obviously it's just a bunch of like the minority trying to say something. But when the whole fan base is telling you that Klopp is having a tactical issue, is because now it's too obvious. Pundits, fans, everybody is saying, why hasn't Klopp revolutionized? Why hasn't Klopp tried new things out? Why don't we have a plan B? Everybody. There's not one person that says, hey, it's a player's fault. At this point, everybody knows what's the issue. It's too obvious. And I think we all agree that Klopp needs to change it. It's just too obvious. Not even that. I just don't understand, why don't we have a backup plan? Why not? Every team in the world has one. Why don't Liverpool have one? It's just so strange.
It'd have been interesting if we got too many. I'd been interested to see what I'd have done with that.
But it's going to be the same. It's going to be the same thing. I mean, if Tchouaméni was here, he would have played in a 4-3-3 until he gets injured.
Elliott don't play. Yeah,
Yeah.
But the question is, what would he be building Harvey Elliott in? Would he be building him up into that Thiago type playmaker with Tchouaméni and Fabinho being that base, and almost it's converting to a 4-3-3, but on the left-hand side as opposed to the right-hand side, where Robertson's a little bit more defensively aware, as is Costas. I'm not saying Fabinho is a good centre-back, but he could definitely fill in a 4-2-3-1 where he drifts in and covers Trent at right back.
Yeah, just covering on attacks. Yeah,
the back post defense he would be good enough to do, which is where Liverpool are getting caught out. But I do agree, I wouldn't play him as centre back. But if you were to play 3 at the back, theoretically Fabinho could be a very good option. But you would probably rather have Virgil van Dijk doing it because he's great on the ball. Now, Klopp said that obviously he needs to look at the system and everything like that, and everyone's then jumped on it and trying to analyse what mistakes has he made, what's this. Now, it's easy to say we've made a mistake. It's plain for everyone to see. What's difficult for everyone to see, Damon, is what was he trying to do? Because with Trent coming in, almost playing like a number 10, pushing Salah out wide, I don't get what the plan was. Is there anything that you can see in the original plan that just makes sense?
No, because I couldn't see a proper plan in the transfer window. That's the thing. I think we went for Núñez after Mane said he's off, and I don't think we were looking at the striker before that. So I think he'd have been happy just to go the same again as last year.
I think Mane was meant to be going for about a year.
Oh yeah. He was saying it, but he wasn't really coming out and proper just officially saying it. You know what I'm saying? There were always chance of him staying, but yeah, like I said, I don't know what the plan was. I honestly don't know what the plan was. I don't know if was he expecting Núñez just to hit the ground running the way Diaz did. It's a bit different. I think you can't rely on a player like that to come in and hit the ground running. It doesn't happen every time. But like I said, we're not getting the best out of him. He's not a striker to do that. You can't play the same system with a false 9 when he's not a false 9. It don't work because that space where Firmino dropped back into, that's just not. It's space now, and that's the problem. We don't have that link up between the striker and the midfielder or the midfield and the wingers. That's where Salah and Diaz would come inside a bit more often because we had that player that could cut back in Firmino. But now we ain't got that. There's no one there. It's just a big gap. And if you've got, City have got Kevin De Bruyne that can push on, Bernardo Silva that can push on into that, and they're scary when that happens. We've got no one from midfield that can do that apart from Elliott. But like I said, it's just playing him in the wrong position.
And just to stay with you on this, Damon, because one of the things that has been mentioned on this channel about Harvey Elliott, and he played great at right central midfield. I really do think that he's played to the best of his ability there. But because he's left-footed, the amount of times we see him spin round and turn his back to Salah because he's having to try and use his left foot because he's not two-footed, that's what's slowing the momentum and pace and pulling people out of position and stuff like that. It almost feels like if Elliott's playing midfield, he should be playing almost on the left-hand side or more central. On the right just creates as a bit more of a problem, doesn't it?
Well, he's just had a full season at right mid. That's the thing. It's just gone straight from right mid into RCM, and it's a complete different position. When you're on the right mid, you can take chances. You can, cut onto your left, and everything's on your left-hand side. So you can use your left for everything. That's how Salah plays on the right. And on the RCM, you need your right foot more than anything. That's why Trent will push on to that sort of position because his right foot's a wand. Yeah. That's why people say, Trent can play midfield, but he can't. But you know what I'm saying? He's right-footed, and it could work every now and then. But Elliott, that's why he needs to be in a number 10 position because he takes chances. And he has the ability to then look both sides in a number 10 position, not just on the right hand side. It's like you said, it's difficult. It's very difficult, and I think it's down to. I think the club's let Elliott down in a way because he's been brilliant. Don't get me wrong, the best player this season, but especially the ages, it is so much maturity in a side that's let him down with mature players next to him, like people like Milner and Henderson and Fabinho that have let him down, and he's been the one shining star this season so far. Just imagine how good he'd be in a place in a role where he could really set his own.
Yeah, I think there's a level of like the left central midfielder, Dan, and the right central midfielder. Normally with Klopp, they're the ones that start the press. They're the ones, like one of the front three will go there, and then one of the central midfielders will really push the space. And of no fault of Elliott, because it's an experience thing and it's a maturity thing, his pressing's what's letting him down, and that's how people are getting past him, and that's how people are being able to then exploit the gap behind Trent. So if you're going to play Elliott, you do need Trent to almost play a little bit more orthodox, don't you, as a right back?
Absolutely, and just like you guys were saying, I mean, it's not really Elliott's fault at all. He's young, he's learning, and in fact, we've seen a lot of improvement in his defensive game. Obviously, still not up to standard to the point where you can trust him to either start or get way more minutes. Because with Elliott, it's a tricky game, because if you're not going to change your tactics, then Elliott is only going to give you 70% of what he can actually offer you, which is just going forward. He's not going to be able to give you the defensive work that you need. So I think that Klopp is in the middle right now, thinking, should I play Milner, who's able to cover the defensively perfect for Trent, but not offer more offensively, or should I play Elliott that can offer more offensive game and not as much defensive game? So and that's where Damon's point comes in, and then we haven't brought in more players that could probably take in the chance. We have Arthur, but aside from what a lot of people have said, from the few minutes that he played, which was like 8 minutes against Napoli or whatever it was, I mean, I was very disappointed because regardless of the system, to see a professional player be that nervous on the ball, to take so many touches on the ball, it doesn't matter if you haven't played in a while. It doesn't matter whatever it is. I saw a player that deserves to be in a mid-table or a low-table team in those few minutes that I saw of Arthur. Now, again, I think he will improve, but we just have nothing at the moment. In fact, if we give Arthur a chance, we might end up taking him out in the second half immediately.
Oh, said tough. I'm sticking with you on this one, Dan, because Arthur's a player that was good enough for Juventus, good enough for Barcelona. And then he was good enough for Juventus, but he doesn't fit in an Allegri system. You know, a bit like Eriksen doesn't fit a Conte system. You know, Conte only played Eriksen 13 times when he was there. And so this is like some of the Italian defensive things. But he's been a Brazilian international. He's a game player. And he's adjusting from the Italian league to the Premier League to the highest pressing team, which we're not at the moment, but technically that's what we are as a mentality. We've got to give the guy more than 8 minutes before we start passing judgment, don't we?
I mean, absolutely. I think the main thing that you need to understand is that Arthur hasn't been able to become a starter anywhere. It's not even a matter of is he able to do it in the Spanish league or the Italian league. He hasn't been able to become a starter anywhere. He has gotten minutes, which is very important, but he hasn't been able to shine or become a starter or to even get attention from bigger sides. So I'm not trying to like blame on Arthur because I know that probably Klopp is going to prove me wrong in a couple months and turn him into a world-star player. But from what we've seen, it seems like we cannot trust Arthur to start a game yet. It's just not. He doesn't have it in him, at least, because again, as a viewer, as a fan, you see a player and to see a professional football player not do mistakes, because it's not like he really did mistakes, but to fall under pressure like that, it's just he's not going to be doing well for us until he's fully settled. So I don't think we can even count on him yet for a month or so.
No, and what's really positive to see, Damon, is he's cancelled any holidays that Liverpool have got during this time, and he's sticking at, I was going to say Melwood, then the AXA training centre, to really make sure that, one, he's fit enough for this club, and two, he understands exactly how the team's going to play. And that's a positive dedication you want to see from a loan signing, isn't it?
That's what you want from every player, don't you? Just dedication and knowing that they're going to play for the badge. I think that should be, you know, born into your system as a footballer. And so you sign for a club, you can't have players coming to your club that don't want to play for you and they come for money, you know, like Man United. But with Arthur, I think it's the best. The positive I can give him is probably the best panic deal we could ever do at that point. But you know, it comes down to planning in the summer. We didn't plan for a midfielder, and it's coming back to bite us now. And with Arthur, like I said, that was the best deal we could do at that point. Last minute, last couple of days, Klopp said, I need a midfielder. But then the reports came, was it Owen that came out and said that the FSG didn't want to dip into the transfer window. And that was after Klopp said, I want a midfielder. So I think he got given what he had to get, you know, what he got and said, work with it, basically. You know, you've got Arthur as a pretty decent loan deal. You've got an option to buy at the end. Fit him in. Klopp's worked for miracles before, but he could have run out at some point.
And Damon does have a point too, because it's probably the best thing we could have gotten, because Fabrizio Romano recently, like a week ago, came out saying that before Arthur, we were working on a deal for Rafinha, who now is playing for a Saudi Arabian side. So Thiago's brother. So that would have
been on the right wing from Leeds. I was like, what?
No. Rafinha. See, that's how bad it is. We don't even know which Rafinha we're talking about. Imagine if instead of Arthur, we got Rafinha, who's more of an offensive player. We would have been in deep trouble. So at this point, I agree with Damon. One thing I do find it strange is why did Liverpool did not move for Zakaria, who ended up moving to Chelsea? Now, that's a defensive midfielder that is very fast on the ball, very tall and strong. And supposedly we decided against the move in order to move for Arthur. Now, that's something that doesn't make sense to me, and I hope that doesn't come back to bite us and you know where.
I think Helio's answered this in this point here. Liverpool have kept positivity and harmony over time. I think that's a central important thing, and I think one of the elements is Klopp wants to talk to you about your family, about what you do, not about football. Klopp wants to have a conversation with you, and I think if he doesn't feel it, then it doesn't happen, because he's gonna try and remove bad apples, and this creates us another problem in your Oxlade-Chamberlains, your Milners, your Firminos. You know, you start to rack up the 150, 100k salaries of people who are brilliant people, like amazing people. Unlucky people, like the Ox is unlucky because he could have done good things in my view. But he keeps them around because they're good people. And so it's a double-edged sword. Do you want bad apples who win something and then kick off, or do you just want a group of harmony? There's a balance, Damon, and I think currently we're slightly off, aren't we?
Yeah, we are leading down the sentimentality road that way. We're keeping players that we don't need to keep. And it's, I said before, it's in about Oxlade-Chamberlain. Are we expecting him to stay fit for the season? No, we're keeping someone like that on. He's going to get injured. And literally, we've been like, was it 3 seasons he got injured? And yet we haven't seen him since. Ridiculous. The club keeping him on was one of the most ridiculous things I've seen in a long time in Liverpool. Keeping someone like Ox. And even Naby Keita. The money we could have got for Naby Keita, and there's teams out there for them. There's definitely teams out there for them. I think Dortmund would have gone for Naby Keita, and I think he could have been easily a part of the deal for Bellingham. Easily. They'd have knocked money off. Yeah, I think it's hard though, because these are players that have won us trophies, they've won us Premier League, won us Champions League, and we love them. Thing is, there's going to be some point we're going to get fans starting to hate on these players. We don't want that, but that's just the way it is. That's sport. Milner is just dragging this team down in the mud at the moment. The penalty he gave the other week was pathetic, but it's not his fault. He shouldn't be in this situation. We shouldn't have given him a 1-year extension. He's 37 years old. He's past it, especially playing at Liverpool. I understand him carry on playing football, maybe for like Leeds or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But not Liverpool. And it's down to the club again. It's down to the club keeping these players on just for sentimentality. But like you said, you've got to go get the right players with the right attitude. I'm just praying Jude Bellingham don't have a bad attitude because we're knackered. That's all we're going for.
Yeah, and it's funny. Like I was talking about this on our chat earlier with JK and someone else, and you just look at the comments here, which is Milner is not better than Arthur. Klopp thinks Milner is good enough. Make that make sense, And a year ago, people were talking about Milner being the greatest ever free transfer Liverpool have ever had. And we've got some recency biases where we start really hating on people when they go through a bad period of form or they start to decline. And don't get me wrong, there's timely exits to things and stuff like that. But you see some of the hatred some of these players now get. Now suddenly Matip is the greatest free signing of all time, despite the fact that 4 years before the last season, he was never available because he was always injured. It's hard to take a step back, isn't it, Dan, and go, okay, well, let's evaluate this as it is. Let's actually just say someone can be in a bad period of form, but actually they're a great player. Why is there so much hostility to people happening at the moment, like hostility to our players? Can you pinpoint it?
It's all down to the results. You guys know that if Liverpool were to be winning and James Milner were to be giving bad performances, people will still believe that James Milner was our best free transfer. But when there's bad results, everything just goes downhill. You already know. I actually believe, and I back what Damon said. It's not Milner's fault, and I actually think he's definitely Liverpool quality. I just don't think he should be starting as many games. Like, I feel like he should be like a player coach role. Only in emergencies, James Milner will go in. He'll give you an average or above average performance, and that's it. Good enough. But for some reason, we're playing him in and out like he's some sort of, like Cristiano Ronaldo player, where regardless of the age, you're still able to start, or like Lionel Messi. But he's not. He's just an emergency, stopgap that he should be used as that. But he has the quality to play in the Premier League. And in fact, I will go as far as saying that he has a quality to play for Liverpool, but just not as much. Why is he playing so much? Like, too much.
The problem with that, Dan, and I'll stick with you for this, is there's a role for him in our team, which you said, and he's on £7 million a year. And we've got probably 4 or 5 players that there's a role for them in the team. And they're on first team starting salaries. You total all those up. I did it yesterday. It's about 35 million a year. We pay in salaries for people who are not starters. Now that 35 million a year, if you were to sign, let's say Jude Bellingham, just for crazy sake, because that's what people are playing at the moment. Jude Bellingham would cost £100 million over a 6-year contract. You would take that transfer fee and you would spread it over 6 years. So that would be 20 million a year. Then his salary on top, which would be 7 million. You would save 6 million a year getting rid of the players that don't play that are over 100k. So there's a role, but is Milner's role something that really should be done by Bajajic, a developer, someone with Curtis Jones? I know he's been injured, but really, are we talking about a role where it should be a kid developing as opposed to an experienced person on starting first team salary?
Tough one, really. I mean, I think the reason why this is happening is because, like I was stating a few moments ago, regardless of what happens or what match it is, James Milner will come in and give you an average or above average performance. While on the other hand, with a kid or a youngster, most of the time, if not 50% of the time, he will give you a bad performance because he's not accustomed to the lineup, to the tactics, because he's still young and inexperienced. So I think that's what goes through club's mindset is like, I'll stick with Milner. He'll give me an average or above average performance. Then sticking with a youngster that is not going to be able to perform. I do think it's a risky move, but I do think as in the moment in time that we are so tied with money and transfers is the only thing we have at the moment, which is stick with Milner, don't go with youngsters, and don't bring anybody else because it's not really up to us or the team.
Yeah, and it's difficult, isn't it? Because regardless of what happens, and I've said that I'm probably coming to the wrong person for this, Damon, but regardless, you know what I've said on this. Regardless of what happens, Liverpool fans are always going to want us to sign one more player. We're never going to be happy if we'd assigned Bellingham and Tchouaméni. There would be fans on this, and we had this start to the season. There would be fans on this chat right this second now saying, we just needed to sign this, this, and this. It's just the nature of who we are. We always want one more, don't we, Damon?
I think that's just humans in general, though, isn't it? I think there is humans like that out there. There's going to be humans that abuse players. There's going to be humans that criticize too much. I criticize, but there's lines and there's things like you don't need to go off that line. But we're all different. At the end of the day, people are developed different. People are brought up differently. So you're going to get them. But what were you speaking about then? Sorry.
I completely forgot.
Yeah.
We always want one more.
One more.
We're never going to be happy with that. We're never happy with that.
But then you'll get, you get your level-headed people that want more, but then accept, like, oh, we got one Nunes or something like that, and we didn't get a midfielder. We should be happy with that. But there needs to be an happy medium. There needs to be a happy medium in everything we do. Whether it's criticism on Klopp, he deserves the criticism, but then praise him when he does it. Like I said, I've praised FSG. I've praised FSG for getting like the Nunes transfer over the line, for doing this, for providing the money for Diaz that time that in January when we needed it. But it doesn't mean that they're not there for criticism. They've got to get criticised for what they aren't doing. And there's a lot of people that can't, either one camp or the other camp, but it needs to be an happy medium on everything. And everyone can see that we were short this season. Everyone can see that we were short when we got rid of Lovren, and we left it to 3 centre-backs that season, 2 of them injury-prone. That's what it was. We left 3 centre-backs, 2 injury-prone. And as a business, as we so-called are, as a business, you've got to plan for the worst-case scenario. And that season, the worst-case scenario happened. And that's why we relied on an Alisson header. And people forget that. We relied on an Alisson header in the 93rd minute to get that top 4. If we didn't get that, we're knackered. No top 4. What would happen then? Europa League football.
But as I always say, looking at it on a positive side of things, how good was that moment?
Oh, unbelievable.
How good did that feel? Because a roller coaster is only fun if there's lows and there's highs.
And there was a Trent last-minute goal as well, not so long before.
Yeah.
Was it against Brighton that where he outside the box 30 yards?
Yeah.
That, don't get me wrong, I cheered every single moment of that season, especially what we went through. We went through absolute dirt through the January, February time. So we deserve that. We deserve that comeback, and they're unbelievable. But at the end of the day, it was luck. At the end of the day, it was really luck, and we shouldn't have to rely on luck. We should look at ourselves and plan properly in transfer windows, and that's what we're not doing.
Where do you guys think that ranks in the top 3 of best moments under club? The Allison header.
It's definitely in the top 5 for me.
Yeah, you'd have to go with Trent Corner as number 1, surely. I know we won the Champions League after that against Tottenham, but it was a bit of a bad game on it and stuff. So Trent Corner.
To be fair, the Van Dijk penalty's up there for me against Kepa, where he was like, come inside, then he just slams it past him. I loved that.
For top 3, James, though, come on, that was a Carabao. What was that?
I'd say another one was the moment against Man City in the FA Cup semi-final when we blew them away in the first half. That was unbelievable.
I think one of the best, it has to be when Chelsea that drew or something, the day that we won the Premier League that we were watching.
Chelsea. Yeah, they got that penalty. And then they beat them, didn't they? They beat them 2-1.
Yeah.
They got that penalty. Fernandinho handballed it online, didn't they?
I think so. It was I think it was a penalty, definitely. Yeah. It's definitely in top 5. That alley header, one of the best things that happened to my life.
Mane against Bayern Munich, where he took it to the back against Neuer and then chipped it in.
Van Dijk though as well.
Oh,
Salah's goal against Man United.
Yeah,
that was the moment you knew we were going to win Premier League.
We could probably do a video just about this.
We need to.
Anyway,
we've got 2-3 weeks off now, so we need to do something like that.
Yeah, we'll save it. We're on holiday for the next 2 weeks. It's like pre-season all over again. But I think what we've all collectively agreed is, one, we don't expect the 2 Liverpool youngsters to win the Golden Boy. There's it's a strong list this year. It's the strongest list I've seen for a really long time, and probably Pedri, Gravenberch. And I've completely forgotten who else. Bellingham are on the shortlist to get it. So just to be nominated at this stage is absolutely sensational. The break is perfect. Let's get Jota back to full fitness, because I think we will be having different conversations now if he was fit to start the season. You've got to remember he was the 3rd top scorer in the Premier League and just disappeared for the first part of the season, which is unfortunate. But we still need a midfielder. We're not going to hate on Arthur just yet after 8 minutes, but plans need to get in place, and this Bellingham train is not going away. It's starting to feel very Van Dijk-esque as we build up to the January transfer window. If I don't see Bellingham holding a Liverpool shirt next to a Christmas tree, I'm going to be very angry, very upset, especially if Dortmund don't make it out the group in the Champions League. This has been LFC Transfer Room. Thank you very much, Damon. Thank you very much, Dan. And we will catch you on the next one.